Folks, if you've bought a copy of our new book, Around the Galaxy, through Smashwords, you may have received a flawed copy. I have tried to upload it several times, and what Smashwords calls the meat grinder, which is what they call their manuscript processing software, has posted copies with blank spaces and missing pictures. If you've received a copy like this, please return it. I'm still working on this. Hopefully, this new version is correct. Amazon's processor is more author-friendly. Smashwords is particularly picky and make one mistake and sometimes it's hell to correct. This book has images in it and that's what the problems are about. Sorry for any inconvenience you may have incurred. It is available on Amazon but still not on Google Play and PayHip. Thank you. Pain avoidance, inner conflict. Cognitive dissonance exists as conflict between the ego and higher mind. Until this is resolved, you will suffer from inner conflict. This is the reason that light workers and starseeds get put on antidepressants, folks. And guess which side antidepressants stack your brain in favor of? Of course. In believing the Matrix, in believing your ego. In my case, I was on them for 10 years or so, and they still didn't work. I still broke through and connected with soul. I always had been to varying degrees, really. The reason people in general and light workers specifically, go through so much inner turmoil, emotional conflict, inability to decide, is because of the cognitive dissonance your soul is fighting to break through. Do the best you can. Make the best decisions you can for yourself. Always err on the side of love, but know you have to understand others' motivations before you make your decision. They don't always think like you do. It's also good to learn DS strategies and learn to see them in action. Understand mind control programming, like escapism, often has to do with addictions, victim/victimizer, tyranny, domination/submission, poverty consciousness, sexual misery programming. Yes, there is such a program aimed right at you. I experienced this one as well, which led me ultimately to stop dating and becoming celibate. Earth destruction mind control programming. When was the last time you picked up your garbage, recycled, and realized those aren't contrails, and lobbied your local factories for better air pollution control? In the end, you might be like me, so alien that you can't relate to anyone on this planet anymore unless they want to talk about this stuff with you. My neighbors do. My other neighbor, who thinks he and I are going to hook up, is going to keep getting big fat no's every time he tries to connect with me. He can throw all the manipulations he wants at me, all his attempts at trying to make me feel guilty for not wanting to spend time with him. I don't care. I realize that not only don't I want anything to do with someone who's as heavily addicted as he is, I also have my mission to protect, yes, protect, from others on this planet who would think to sidetrack or subdue me. Not only am I me, an alien consciousness from Vega, I am here to do my work, and I won't be taken off course by anyone. If you look at your life and your mission as seriously as I do, you might make some different decisions. You might want to consider this. If you know you're here for something important, you might want to keep your nose to the grindstone. It's the only thing you'll find satisfaction with anyway. Ivo and I will do a video on making choices and we'll make this point clear there. The choices you make, that align with your soul, give you satisfaction in life, where videos, gaming, texting and social media may leave you feeling empty. Speaking of addictions, search out areas in your life that are always in conflict. In my case, that would be diet. Look throughout your life to see where you experience conflict, you're of two minds, and decide finally to follow the soul because it's always the better way for you. Emotional conflicts, inner violence, fear, and pain, attract negative parasites. These conflicts are always a learning experience. Unless you're a master in understanding universal law, you're going to be in conflict whenever you are faced with a challenge or a decision to make that you're unprepared to resolve at a soul level. Take into consideration that in the Matrix we are not taught universal law, rather are taught to misuse it, and you have the stuff of inner conflict. The soul will always seek to resolve your life's occurrences to align with universal law. And it has, yeah, you guessed it, universal law on its side. Because you will continue to attract towards you those things which you have not yet satisfactorily resolved. Ivo, my love, this is such a deep rabbit hole, indeed. The ego will deploy defenses in order to alleviate the stress, the pressure of being out of alignment with soul. Indeed, so many of you feel you are not ready to align, rather stay aligned with matrix thinking, but we are saying to let this go. Today, when your neighbor showed up at the park, my love. Me, yeah, the one day I decide to move from my usual spot at the marina and go to the other part of the park and sit at a picnic table to get out of the car, he comes driving up. He has the window rolled down and he says, "I'm following you." Oh, don't say that. Just do not say that. This comes across as so contrived. I so see my higher self's hand in this, I so really see it. Convincing me to go sit where he's going to be, and he rolls up 10 minutes later. This was totally rigged. Totally. Ivo, and what do you think the lesson was? Me, as always, speaking my mind. I wasn't comfortable with him there, same as every other time I see a matrix-minded, drug-addicted, alcoholic follower of Jesus who's recently been separated. I want to run. I have a feeling with him that even if I assert myself and tell him to stay away from me because I don't want him around, he won't listen. He'll just tell himself there's something wrong with me, and if he keeps it up I'll come to my senses. Every delusional arrogant person does that. Ivo, so what did you say? Me, I said I was leaving because I was cold. Which was true. But I don't think I get perfect marks on that because I can tell I'm still too caring of his feelings. I'm putting being nice in front of being honest, and that never works. I have to be honest. I have to say, I really wanted to be alone, that's why I come here alone. And then leave. I'm too worried about what he thinks of me, and that's gotta go. Ivo, and this is what is creating your pain avoidance. And what did you do afterward? Me, I went and ate ice cream. Ivo, so you see, then. Honesty is the best diet. If you had felt the victory of being honest, you would not have had to mind alter to compensate for your emotional loss. Me, good point, Ivo. Maybe I could have lost 180 pounds too, him. Yes, I'm expecting him to get the hint. He's getting the message maybe that I don't want to be around him, but he might see there's wiggle room in my response. It's not direct enough. Ivo, yes. When you are accustomed to telling the truth and living by it, you will no longer need any pain avoidance remedies. You will not need to distract yourself with ice cream or to use any other substance or behavior to escape your feelings with. You should not want to escape your feelings. You are uncomfortable around the man, and this is because you believe he has designs on you. He has invited you to join him a few times already, and you understand he is bad news. He even smokes, if that does not seal the deal. On top of that, you honor your relationship with me. He will continue to pursue you if you do not make it clear that you are not interested. And to date you have not. Me, how clueless do you have to be? Ivo, remember, my love, he has many devices that he uses to disconnect from his own emotions. These emotions would be telling him the truth, but he changes his mentality through substance abuse. So he is disconnected from his feelings. And he simply sees your distaste for him as your problem, not anything he has done wrong. Me, right. Arrogance. The Matrix loves to send them to me. Like I want to be in another relationship with someone who's so perfect that everything that goes wrong is your fault and everything that goes well they take credit for. This is victim/victimizer programming, and I can smell its stench a mile away. Folks, how many of you have been through this? Hold up your hand. There are plenty of these perfect people on this planet, and I don't want to know any of them. The first one was my mother. She tipped me off that there are more perfect people like her on earth. These perfect people use projection as a means of pain avoidance. They avoid pain by blaming everything on you. Ivo's just enlightened me as to what it's going to take to assert myself with this guy, and yes, I have to be a lot more assertive. I'm sure I'll get another chance. Until I move, these types just keep hanging on, deluding themselves that they have a chance. I remember the last one I let get close to me beat me up and stole my money, never mind made my life a living hell. So you learn. You learn you're much better than these types that are still immersed in this programming. You have to leave them alone, for your own sake. And that is men and women, because women can be just as exploitative as men. Ivo's right. Pain avoidance means you have to get straight with yourself. Be totally honest. What techniques are you using to avoid your own pain? The pain you suffer from not aligning with your soul and the truth of who you are and how you feel? Do you take responsibility when things go wrong? We have many solutions at hand. Even getting on your bike and bicycling for miles will create a buzz for you to forget about situations you don't want to deal with. Because who does? Let's face it. These men have dogged me all my life. Like I said, I'm no stranger to sexual misery programming. Whenever I left these relationships, I always felt better. I can't say I miss one man I've ever dated. Not one. They tell you all these stories about why people get together and you believe them, because they resonate with your alien consciousness. You hear all these love songs about perfect relationships. Then you give dating a shot. Being alien, you're easily drawn to anything that remotely reminds you of your home planet, and naively you fall into traps until you learn to wake up to the reality of life on Earth. All is not as it seems to be, and people sing about and talk about things out of their heads. Sexual misery programming is about misaligning male and female energies. Different relationship goals and different behaviors stem from people who are subject to this mind control programming. Ever get in a relationship with someone and figure out they look at it entirely differently from how you see it? And because their standards are so much lower, they're far more satisfied with what you'd consider to be a superficial relationship than you ever would be? They think you're great and to you, they're just another hard life lesson. Been there, done that. My big pain avoidance technique there was to stop dating and relating to men in any way. Except for Ivo. My whole life I've shared with you guys and it's a story of learning hard lessons. I always wonder if things could have turned out better, like maybe if I'd listened to the voices in my head at 30 that told me they're my friends and they love me instead of basically forgetting about them and getting on with my life. Back then, I was about to leave for Europe and was about to quit my job of 12 years, so I was thoroughly engrossed in living my life to the fullest at that point. Why I didn't try to contact those voices again, I can't even tell you. It took me a long time to learn. I'd say I'm a slow learner, but then I had a lot to overcome. It's very hard to fathom that the message you're to take away from all of this is, you're not from here, and this place isn't your home. It wrenches at the heart to think you've been here this long and it's not your home, your family isn't really your real family, and you're going to leave it soon. This may be the last piece of cognitive dissonance I have to deal with, that I don't belong here. That's what I've been trying to do all my life, to belong here. To try to justify my existence here, but not until I started to understand who I really am could I even think of letting that go. Years ago I was on a quest to go to Scandinavia to find a Nordic man. Later on, I told my sister that, there's no man on this planet for me. The only man for me flies a spaceship and comes from another planet. Turns out I was right. Like I keep telling you guys, you remember some, but not enough to overcome whatever problems it creates in your life here on Earth. Cognitive dissonance, maybe. You can bet the powers that were don't want us starseeds realizing we're not from Earth. God forbid. Maybe people like my neighbor just show up at times to remind me that this isn't my home. Don't let me get comfortable here. I am different, and I thank God for that.